Welcome to the webinar. The webinar is how to deliver online learning with Google Classroom. Although TTA has 140 online courses up and running, webinars is actually a brand new thing for us, and this is our very first one. We decided that we wanted to try to be helpful, and really it's only in the last couple of days, trying to think what would be useful for us to be able to do to help teachers in this obviously very difficult time. And so this is us trying to find something to do to be helpful. So we approached Andrew to see if he was interested, and he was absolutely straight away onto it. Even though he's got 4 young kids and a crazy life like the rest of us, he was very happy to help. If this one's successful, then we'll be looking at running some other seminars, webinars. We'll be looking for ideas from you about what could be helpful, and then we'll go and find those people to run them. So at the end of the webinar, we'll be really keen to hear your feedback on what you liked and what you think can be improved. So quick intro to Andrew. Andrew O'Halloran is a secondary high school teacher. He's in his 10th year of teaching. He's currently teaching junior geography, commerce, business studies and economics at East Hills Girls Technology High School. He's also taught stage 6 economics and ancient history previously at Canterbury Boys High School. In his teaching experience so far, he's embraced new technologies for his lesson planning and his delivery and reporting and assessment. He's led a number of professional development days for teachers in his local teaching area and within the school, helping teachers with their knowledge of ICT, as well as delivering courses with TTA. So please use the Q&A feature if you want to ask Andrew any questions. I'm going to hand over to Andrew in a minute, and then I'm going to just be there to help with managing questions, etc. If we don't get to questions, then we will cover them in the online version of the course. So the webinar is being recorded, and hopefully within about 24 hours, we'll have it up as a free NESA registered online PD course on the TTA platform, where you'll be able to log in, enroll in the course for free and get your NESA registered hours. And also any other teachers that find this useful can log in and do the same. So yeah, and what we'll probably do as well, if things come through in the session and Andrew's able to, bring some more useful resources or anything after the event, then we'll put those into that online course as well. So without further ado, thank you so much for joining us today. And now I'm very happy to hand over to you, Andrew.
Okay, thanks Miles. Thank you for those kind words. And thanks again for hosting the webinar as well. It's a really great initiative, and welcome to everyone as well. Thank you for showing some interest in the course as well. And I hope that this is hugely helpful for you. I found Google Classroom to be really, really useful for my teaching and learning. It makes things easier, and it makes things better for student learning as well, with communication, distributing work, giving timely feedback. All of the standards that NESA want us to be achieving are made really much more possible, much more achievable with Google Classroom. So can everyone see my screens okay, Miles? Is that coming through okay? That you can see? Okay. So Google Classroom, you can search for it. I'm sure that if you search for Google Classroom, it's going to be the first thing on the list there, which we can see. So we're going to click through to Google Classroom. And what I can actually show you is just the steps to firstly create a class. If there is a shift to online learning and suddenly things need to be online, these are the steps you can follow. I'm already logged in here, and if you weren't logged in, it might have asked you to log in. However, because I'm already logged in, we can see that it recognizes who I am. I've got a little avatar up there. To create a class, we're going to click on the plus button over here. So if you click on the plus button, we have 2 options. We can join a class, and that would be for students to join a class, or we can create a class. And for today, because I'm showing you how to create your first Google Classroom class, that's what we're going to click on. What this warning is all about, it says that if you're using your Google Classroom at a school, you need to be using your G Suite for Education account. But if that's the case, if you're a department teacher, you'll automatically have one of those. If you're not a department teacher, there might be some limitations, and you say, I realise that these are the conditions. You can check the box and continue. Okay, we're going to create a commerce class. Class name is the only thing that you need to put in. All these other things are optional, and we can just go ahead and click create. What this is going to do, there's already a class that I've got there called economics, because I'm going to show a demonstration of what it looks like later to have a class with students in it. But for this process of creating a new class, we can see there's going to be no students there because I've only just created it now. So imagine this is you sitting at home. You've pressed plus button, you've created a class, it's called Commerce. There are no students enrolled in this class to begin with. So there's a couple of different ways we can get the students enrolled. Firstly, we've got a class code just over here. If you haven't shifted to online learning yet and you still have classes with your students and you think this might be a good move to set up a Google Classroom, you can display this code for them in class when they walk in on Monday. So you could click on that expand view, have this project onto your whiteboards. If that's not large enough, you can make it even larger still. So the code for the class, anyone can join this class right now. If you guys were actually trying to join Google Classroom, join this new commerce class I created, you could do that by putting in that code. Okay, so the students would log in and they would then put the code in and they would be members of the class. Either you confirm that as well. If you go across to the top here, we've got the stream, classwork, and people. If the students had typed in the code, you'd start to see a list of the students' names here as well. Okay, so this is the page where you'd see had they been enrolled or not. Now there is another way to get the students enrolled into your class. If you've got an email list, if your school uses Central or some other database that has students' emails on a spreadsheet, you might be able to access that and invite the students by email. And once you have the whole list of them pasted in there, you could click on invite as well. Okay, until the students actually join the class though, you can see it would just say invited there. So I doubt student 123 is going to join this class, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove that student from the class. Okay, I understand the shift to online learning for a lot of people, if this is completely new, might be a little bit daunting, a little bit scary. So you might want to have a go at enrolling yourself in the class too. You might be able to put your own email address in, or if you have a personal account, your teacher account sets up the classroom account. You could also enroll yourself in there just to see what it looks like as a student too. Okay, the other thing you might want to do as well, you've created the class, it looks good. You can have a play around with the themes, the colors, select the theme. If this one doesn't match commerce, you could select this one here. All of these things, you know, minor little presentation things that you can adjust in Classroom. Okay, just a quick note on the navigation. So we've set up the class, we've invited students, and we see there's still a couple of other tabs at the top there. We've got marks, we've got classwork, stream. So the stream is sort of like a social media announcement page. It's similar to, say, a Facebook feed or a Twitter feed, where the most recent post goes to the top, and then everything, as there's more and more posts, would go down the page. So this is going to be the first time anyone joins the class, the first time they see a message. We could say, welcome to Commerce for 2020 online learning. Okay, that's just a message, and if I hit post, gives it a moment, anyone who becomes a student of the class will log in and they'll see that this has been posted to all the students. The other thing that happens is the students will get an email as well. So this email would come through to the students saying that Andrew O'Halloran at 4:09 created an announcement saying welcome to Commerce. So the good thing is this triggers reminders for the students. If you make announcements, if you said don't forget to come and get your assessment task notification at lunch today, that would email out to the students and so on too. So very handy for the notifications that Google Classroom sends. Again, if we're going to be in an online learning environment though, we need to create some classwork for them. So if you go ahead to the top here, we see there's the stream, there's the classwork tab. We're going to click on the classwork tab. And at the moment, there's no classwork on the page because I've only just created the class. So everything happens from this create button. And if you click the create button, you can see there's some different options here. We have the ability to create a topic, an assignment, a quiz assignment, which is through Google Forms, just a basic question, which can be answered on Google Classroom, or a material, which would be for things like PowerPoints, worksheets, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to go through the process for creating material firstly, because I would estimate that if someone's shifting to online learning for the first time, that they probably have a lot of resources that they use to teach. So let's go ahead and call our first resource, because it's a commerce unit of work. We might say this first one is called Needs and Wants. Read the worksheet about needs and wants. So we've given it a title up here. That's where the title for the work goes. And you can put in a description if there are instructions about the work that had to be done. Read the worksheet, answer the questions at the end. read the worksheet for homework and come into class with some knowledge of the worksheet, something like that. You don't have to type instructions, but that's where they'd go if you were going to. Okay, topic. We can create a topic when we create a material, or when we create an assignment, when we create a question, and so on. So we have no topics created at the moment, so we're going to create a topic for this one too. We're going to call it topic 1, consumer choice. Okay, so that topic will be created when we create this particular material. The last thing is to add the material itself. Okay, so I'm guessing that if the teachers enrolled today are looking to shift to online learning, there are a couple of different ways that you could actually attach material. You can send something from your Google Drive. You could give a link to the students, or you could upload a file, and there's the option to put a YouTube video in as well. Let's go with file. Let's assume this is like you're writing an email and you have to attach a file to an email. Very similar, we click on file. An upload window pops up and you can select a file from your computer. And let's go with, let's see if we can find one here. This is my commerce folder. Let's go with consumer decisions. Okay, double clicking that brings it up into the preview window. We could add more files if we want to as well by clicking add more files and just repeat the process. But for the moment, let's just upload the one. Okay, so we go down to the bottom left here. We can see that the blue button upload, we're going to click that. It uploads. And now this material is part of this particular post on Classroom. Okay, so that everything that needs to be there is there. We've got a title, we've got a material, we have the class that it's going to be sent to. I have 2 classes in my account so far, just for demonstration purposes. The class that we're currently in is the commerce class, and it's selected by default. So we'll leave that one checked. We're not going to post commerce work to my economics class, so we're going to leave that unchecked. If we had a list of students enrolled as well, we could actually select which students we want this to go to. So if I had a list of 5 students and the 5 students were here, here, and here, I could say that I'd like this particular work to go to the extension students, and I could select those students who were extension students, and I could repeat the process for students who were the middle of the road students and so on. So you could also differentiate by checking and unchecking the work, the checkbox here for the students you want the work to go to. Okay, so we've got the topic, the students it's going to, the class that's being sent to, the material itself, and the title. We're ready to post our first work in our new classroom. We have a few options before that though. We can post it straight away. We can schedule the post for a future date, or we can save the draft to continue working on this material at a later time. We're going to post it, okay? Now when this finished posting, it's going to collapse that window, and we can see that our first material has been posted, and a new topic has been created as well. If we click through on this, we can see all the information that we put in there. We could also click on view material and click on the Word file just to see what it had in there as a preview. Okay, so we've created our first assignment. We're actually in the view of the material right now. To get back out to the classwork view, we're going to click on commerce at the top left, and we can get back to the stream. You'll notice also what's happened here is that the work I just posted on the classwork page has actually been posted onto the stream as well. So the students, when they log in, are going to see the most recent work posted at the top, which is pretty handy for reminding me. You can see that my initial welcome message has been bumped down to number 2 on the stream. Okay, let's go through some of the other different assignment types you can do in Classroom as well. So the first one was the material, posting the worksheets that you've got, the materials. You might have done a PowerPoint in class, and that's the way you post it to them. The next thing we can do is a question, and it's either a short answer or a multiple choice question. I find that this feature works very well for short answer questions. It takes some time to put in multiple choice questions. So for a short answer question, we type the question up here, explain the difference between needs and wants. Assign a points value for it. You can make it unmarked, you can make it 5, you can make it 10, entirely up to you. I'm going to make this worth 5 for an explain question. I'll make it worth 4 actually. Okay, there's no need to add an attachment necessarily. Though if you wanted the students to have some extra assistance with answering this question, we might bring up another file for them. So again, I'm going to go to the file upload, find something that might help them complete this question. And I think that, what do we have here? Nature of commerce. That may help them. Same process, so I'm uploading the file the same way that I did before. Give that another go, sorry about that. Let's upload something that's not a Google Doc. Let's go with consumer choice revision.
Hey, Andrew, we've got a question come through.
Yep, sure.
So Sam's asking, when you add notifications in Google Classroom, each new post bumps the previous one lower.
Yep.
Is it possible to keep 1 or 2 posts at the top of the list, say for a set period of time?
Yep, great question. What I'm going to do, just to show you that for a moment, is save this draft. We're going to come back and finish this question in a moment. If you go back to the stream, you can see here that these 3 dots on the right-hand side, you can say edit, that's going to edit the assignments. The other thing you can do is to drag them, on the classwork page, you can drag them up or down. However, there's an option, if you're not at the top, so I go to the second one here, we can say move to top. So there used to be an option to pin it to the top. That's not the case anymore. So what you're going to have to do, if you want something to stay at the top, you're going to have to go in and move it back to the top every time you post work or make a different announcement. So it is doable, but it can't be pinned there indefinitely, unfortunately. Okay, so we're back to the classwork page. We can see here we started work on this material, which was a question. So we went through the process of creating a question. We didn't finish it and we didn't assign a topic to it. So it's in grey here because it hasn't actually been posted and it's in draft mode. We can see over here it says draft where the mouse is pointing. The way we're going to get back into this, we can just click on it and go to edit question by clicking down there. If we didn't click there, we could also click on the 3 dots and say edit there too. So it takes us back into our mode where we can edit the questions. We've added an attachment now. It's a PowerPoint file. It's worth 4 marks. Now, because this isn't a material, we've actually got a due date for this question too. So if we click on the due date, we can select the date that's going to be due. We're going to give this another week probably. So the students have till the 27th of March at 9 AM and press enter. So it tells us now it's due at Friday, 27th of March at 9 AM. And we're going to put in the topic before that we had created, which was consumer choice. The last setting on here that you may want to play around with a little bit, depending on the confidence of your students. The students, when they submit their answer, can actually see each other's responses. They can only see them if they have put through their own answer firstly. And once they've put through an answer, they can actually reply to one another too. So it's quite good for a bit of peer feedback. If you leave, students can reply to one another, but I leave that unchecked to start off with because they can be a little bit anxious about posting work that others can see. The other thing you might want to do is that students can edit their answer. That means that if they type a response to the question, press submit, they can actually unsubmit their response and edit it and then submit it again for grading. Once it's been graded, there's no more editing. However, if you left students can edit answer on, they can unsubmit a few times before they finally submit it to you for grading.
Andrew, we had another one. It came through on the chat rather than the question, but someone just asked, can you add a topic after something has been posted?
Yep, absolutely you can. So let's pretend I forgot to do this. I do it all the time. You're in a rush to get some work out there. I forgot to put the topic down for this one. And so I'm just going to ask this question straight away. Notice you've got the drop-down menu on the right. You can schedule the question. Sometimes it's really good to schedule a question 10 minutes before a lesson finishes. So this will pop up to the students just before the end of a lesson. Sometimes it's good as an exit ticket for the students. Sometimes it's good when they just walk in to get the question. So you can schedule it, but we're going to ask it straight away. And I'll tell you, yep, they're going to see it in their streams immediately. That's good. We want that. The one problem is I forgot to put the topic in there. So once this collapses, probably going to take a moment. Asking. Okay, you can see because I didn't give it a topic, it's actually appearing at the top of the page there. So without a topic, it doesn't nest nice and neatly under this heading there. The way I can change that is to just go back to the edit of the question. So I can click edit there, or again, if I expand that view by clicking on it, I can view the question. If I go into the question, I still have the opportunity to, no, I have to do it back from this side. I have to use the 3 dots, click on edit. It brings up the window where we created the question in the first place, and I can go to put the topic consumer choice as the question. If I save those changes, then it actually nests back properly where it should be under the consumer choice topic. Okay, so this is the question view. I can't see the classwork page, so click on commerce, and that takes me back to the main view. I have to click on classwork again, And now we can see that the question is there. The other thing you might want to do as well, you'll notice that in the classwork section too, needs and wants was the first thing that I posted. The most recent classwork always appears at the top and it pushes down the classwork down the bottom. Okay, it's a little bit easier on the classwork page to go organizing things. You can just click and hold and drag it above. Okay, click and hold. Once it's saved its place, click and hold and drag it to the space you want to. If you have a really, really big Google Classroom with, you know, work after work after work, sometimes it's quite good to move a whole topic down the page. You can grab the topic as well. If I had another topic here, I could show you what that would look like. So topic 2, what might be law and society. So I've created a new topic here. We finished law and society already, so I don't want that to be at the top. I'd like to move the whole topic above it. So if you click and drag, you can customize how it looks on the page too. Okay, so we've done a material, we've done a question. We're going to go and create a quiz assignment, which is a Google Forms assignment. Now, if you're familiar with using Google Forms at all, that helps definitely. It's quite user-friendly, and you can do some quick quizzes with Google Forms. And the other thing is that you don't need to author your questions in Google Forms. And I'll show you what that means. Now, I've pressed Create Quiz Assignment, and you can see that automatically it creates an attachment for me down here, which is a blank quiz Google Forms. If you click on the title of it just here, the blue writing, it's going to open the Google form in a new window. Now, here's my best case advice for how to create a Google form quickly. We're not going to do that right now. That's okay. Say this is a very quick 5-question multiple choice quiz. Okay, the first thing we want to do is to change the title of it. So we can click either at the top there or in the top left to change the title of it. I would advise always renaming it at the top here, because what you'll find it does in a moment is consumer. If I change the title here, it's going to change it down here for me too. Oh, usually does. Doesn't want to play along today. Okay, consumer choice quiz. I've given it a title. And like I said, we're going to do a very quick 5-question multiple choice quiz for this particular Google Classroom assignment. Okay, before we do anything else, I want to show you quickly that there is a settings section up here. If you click on that, it just tells you that already this has been made into a quiz. So there's going to be some points values for each of the questions that you assign. Okay, we're going to go out of this view because it's already set up for us. We need to know who's taking the quiz. So we can do that one of 2 ways. We can type our first question to being first name, and that's a required question. We want to know who's taking the test. Okay, we're going to add another question. We can say surname, and we want to make that a required question too. Okay, Google Forms magically, you can see down the bottom here, magically updates based on your question. Okay, we can see that I typed the question surname, and it automatically changed the question type from multiple choice to short answer. So when someone types their surname, we don't want them to select it from multiple choice. We want them to be able to type their own name. So mistakenly, for the first name question, I've left that on multiple choice. So let's change that to a short answer question. Okay, we're going to add a bunch of questions really, really quickly here. I'm going to show you the best way we can do this. If you create a new question here, we can change the options. Most multiple choices are A, B, C, and D. So I type A, press enter, B, press enter, C, press enter, D. We now have question 1 has options A, B, C, and D. Okay, we're not going to make this question required. The students may not know the response. They may not know the correct answer. We could require it to make sure that they, with multiple choice, at least guess, but there's no value in that, I suppose. The quick way to create new questions is to duplicate. This little icon down here means to duplicate the question. I'm going to do that 4 more times. Okay, I'm going to press it once, and it creates question 1 again with A, B, C, D. Press it again, question 1 with A, B, C, D. We now have 4 questions. Press it again. We now have 5 questions. Okay, the problem is they all say question 1. So what you do is you just go to each of the questions. This is the second of the questions. So I'm just going to quickly change that 1 to a 2. So it's now question 1, 2, this next one should be question 3. And this next one should be question 4. And lastly, this next one should be question 5. Okay, the reason why I'm doing it in this way, to show you that question 1, 2, 3, and 4 You could have a textbook with really good questions and they're multiple choice responses. The way this is quicker for you as teachers, particularly if you're going to be using an online learning environment, is you might have questions written elsewhere. And you can give them a piece of paper, you could give them an attachment with the questions on it. And you can say, okay, answer questions 1 through 5, use the Google form to complete the answers, read the questions off the paper, do your answers on the Google form. It saves you the time of having to completely author all of the questions. So explain which of the following is a need or is a want. And it becomes a bit laborious. You've got to type in, you've got to do every particular question, and it takes a long, long time. So we're looking to do things expediently here. You've got 5 very quick questions, and you've got options A, B, C, and D, and there's 5 questions. Okay, so your basic Google form questions are set up there, and to check how it looks in real time, there's this little eyeball icon near the top right-hand side there that says preview. Now this is a working live Google Forms quiz. So I want to test that it works. I want to see that the layout is good. We can see it's got the title that I put in. It's telling me that I have to answer this question. Okay, thank you. And I have to put in my surname. That's all well and good. Presuming I had a question sheet here, I'm just going to see that this all works. Question 3, it's got A, B, C, D. Question 4, A, B, C, D. Question 5, A, B, C, D. And I could press submit. I've actually just live tested the Google Forms quiz we've created. This isn't a draft mode or anything like that. I've done a live test of it. I can show you exactly where the responses go. Okay, this is a window that I can just close because it's a test, not a test window, but it's one that the response has been submitted. I can freely close that window now. Back in where we were creating the Google Forms quiz, you can see now there's a response, says number 1 there. The response that I just put through has been recorded there. Okay.
Andrew, we've had a question. Yes. Where do we attach the question sheet on a form?
Okay, I'm coming to that. I'll show you in a moment.
Okay.
If we're back in the authoring view for the Google Forms quiz, just like we added attachments before, we may have questions on our computer in a worksheet. It could be the end of a chapter quiz, could be a textbook page, it could be a PowerPoint, you had questions on the PowerPoint slide. Let's just assume that in one of these documents, let's say ScamWatch, that there were questions in that document there. I could go and upload like we did before. Okay, students can view file. I'll talk about that in a moment. You don't need to worry about what that means at the moment. We could call this the quiz. We're calling it a consumer choice quiz. And I could tell them in the instructions, read the PDF attachment called ScamWatch and answer the questions on the last page in the attached Google form.
Okay. So Susan said, from a form, show us how to go back to the start. Sorry, you're going very fast. Another thing I just mentioned, Susan, is that you're going to have access to this video later on. So anything that anybody misses, just remember, you're going to be able to rewatch this and pause it and rewind it as many times as you like afterwards. So to get through a lot of material, Andrew, is going to go quickly, but you'll have access to go back later on as well.
Okay. And I'll try to get through most of the features of Classroom as well so that we can at least give a good rundown of all the features you could be using. Okay, so what we've done here, we've created a Google Forms quiz that has 5 questions. We're assuming that this document here has 5 questions in it. And so the students could download this document, they could view it on their computer, and in a separate tab, they could answer the questions in Google Forms. Those responses, when they're completed, will come through to you in this tab over here. So, okay, Google Forms, when you use it for the first time, will give you these lovely instructions. What we can see, this is the tab at the top where we build the form. It's called Questions. The tab at the other side is Responses, is where the responses come through. And it spits out all this lovely data for you, how many students got however many marks and so on. However many students answered A, B, C, or D. Because there's only been one response, 100% of the students answered B, 100% answered B, 100% answered A, and 100% answered B. So you get all this lovely data and you can see the distribution of grades. You can see the questions as well. What did they type? So first name, surname, of course, you don't need to grade those questions, if I scroll through using these arrows, this was the surname question, question 1, this many students answered A, there was 1 ungraded response. So you get all the responses here. The thing we haven't done is set up an answer key for this one. Okay, so this is where the responses come through. The point is that when the students start completing this, you're going to see this number increase. If you have a class of 30 students, you're expecting to see this number be 30. And you can check the summary of responses there. You can see how each student answered each question, or you can just see the individual student responses in total. So this is the one response. I can see all of my responses that I put through. I'm the only responder so far. In a moment, I'll show you how you can grade these responses too by adding individual feedback too. Okay, so to set up an answer key, we're going to go back to questions. And in each of the questions that require marking, you can see down below there's this little blue writing that says answer key. This answer is worth 0 points. We need to change that. So we click on answer key and we select the answer which should be the correct answer. It's possible for multiple choice. You can have more than one correct answer. You can have all of them correct answers too. So I don't think you only have to select one. You could give some feedback for those who got an incorrect. Needs are different from wants. And you could say, excellent work, just a bit of feedback, and save that feedback for them. So whoever gets the answer incorrect is going to see this explanation that might be relevant, and those who got it correct, you could customize that message as you'd like. Okay, once you've done selecting for question 1, the correct answer was A, you need to click on done. And I will say that Google Forms gets a little bit laggy. It's a little bit, you know, the page jumps around a little bit everywhere. But once you've done this a few times, it becomes pretty second nature. So the only thing I forgot to change there, answer key, could still say, it says 0 points there. So we're going to click on answer key again. And this points indicator up here needs to change to 1. Okay, I'm going to click on done. We're going to repeat the process. I'm not going to add any feedback for questions 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm just going to click into answer key, change the points value to 1, select the correct answer, and go to done. So 3 things, remember, I'm going to go to answer key. That's the first thing. The second thing is change the points to 1. Third thing is to select the correct answer. And I suppose the fourth thing is to say done. Same thing for question 4, answer key, change the points to 1. You can type it on your keyboard as well, that works. Select the correct answer, press done. Lastly, answer key, change the points, select the correct answer, and click done. Now, because this is a great little feature of Google Forms, now it's got an answer key. It can actually grade what I've done. So remember I did the response before, this is the only response. Now we've got a mark for my response. Now, because I selected A, I got that correct, and I got told excellent work, that's fantastic. Question 2, the correct answer was C, and this student put B, that was me. Question 3, I got correct. Question 4, the correct answer was D, and I put down A. And lastly, the correct answer was A, but I put down B. The great thing about this is auto-graded the student response, and you've got a collection of all the responses of the students as well. The last thing that we can do is to go back to Classroom and say, okay, this was a 5-mark quiz, and we've assigned it. We're going to assign it right now to be due on Monday. Sorry, we'll make it due on Monday at 3:10 p.m. Just like we did before with the question, we put a due date down. We're going to put in the topic of consumer choice, and that looks ready to go. Okay, we can assign it. Now, if I had students enrolled in this class, I could show you exactly where that mark would go. I could log in here. I go back to the Google Forms and I'd say, okay, this student here, Andrew O'Halloran, he got 2 out of 5. So when it would come to the grading of this particular assignment, what I'm going to need to do to demonstrate this is just quickly jump into one of my own classrooms to show you very quickly. So I've created an economics class here. I'm going to very quickly repeat the process to show you exactly what would be required to create a quiz assignment, to show you what the grading would look like, because there is 1 student enrolled in this class. So we're going to make this a blank quiz. It's going to be 1 question. Okay, got it, thank you. Let's leave it at question 1, or just do it for very Google Forms is not behaving there. Let's go back to Classroom, click on it again. Okay, we're just going to have one question here. And we're going to assign it to the student who's in the class. Okay, we're going to make an answer key. It was worth 1. And the correct answer was A. Done. Okay. Now, if I'd assign this to the one student in the class, I could show you what it would look like for grading for that student. So blank quiz. So you've seen all this before, so trying to rush through it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to assign that question immediately. Okay, so what have we done so far? I've created a quiz that's got one question in it, and it's been assigned to one student. Because I've enrolled myself in this class, this is what it would look like in our other class that we had running if we had students there. Now, remember in the other group, the other class that I had running, that I got 2 out of 5 for that particular quiz. Here is where I could type in that grade. Now this one's out of 1, so I'm just going to say that you got 1 out of 1. Okay, now that student got 1 out of 1, I'm going to return that grade to the student. So when you have students in your class, the view is going to be a little bit different for you. You may want to set up your class with lots of resources firstly, but that's what a quiz assignment would look like. You can get the grades auto-graded in Classroom. The takeaway message is that I would advise creating a form that looks it's very basic in nature. It's just got question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and you have a separate attachment for hosting those questions. That's going to be a real time saver for the work that you're doing in online learning. Okay, that's 2 of the features of Google Classroom classwork that you're going to be using.
Maybe Andrew might be a good time to jump in and answer a question that's come through.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So there's been a lot of discussion lately, this is from Sam, about the equity of access to internet and computers at home. How easy is the Google Classroom and quiz, etc., to use on smartphone? Plenty of students have those.
Yeah, really good question. Better and better. In fact, if I have time today, let's see how we go. More and more features which did not used to be available on smartphones or tablets are now available on phones and smart tablets. Smartphones and tablets. So the features that you see in the desktop version are pretty much equivalent to the ones that you see in the tablet and smartphone versions. So that is going to be a huge issue. I'm not sure how they're going to manage that if we do make that jump. But there is no disadvantage apart from just screen size, I suppose, for completing the work. The other thing I did want to add as well, I can show the student perspective of, the student view, I should say, of Classroom. So I'm just going to go into the view of Classroom that I have as a student. Okay, so I'd like to point out this is the student view of Classroom right now, because what I did was I enrolled myself in that economics classroom that I just demonstrated. You can see here, I can see economics. The teacher is this person here, which is the window I had open previously. And remember a moment ago that I just posted a blank quiz and I gave this particular student 1 out of 1. You can see here, when a student first logs in, it says talk to your teacher. You can make a private comment saying, hello, sir. Post that to the teacher. The student got their work graded. It's really tiny up there for some strange reason. You can see 1 out of 1. But this particular student can interact with the teacher, and it's something that's quite useful. To show you how there is an equity issue that's somehow overcome, if students don't have access to Google Forms quizzes, I suppose, if they have access to a worksheet, they could also write their answers on a worksheet, grab a photo of the worksheet, and add that photo as an attachment to the teacher to be sent to the teacher. Okay, I'm going to show you what that would look like. So I'm going to go back to the window where the teacher was creating the work. I'm going to exit this commerce class, was the economics class. The reason why I'm using this particular class is I've already got 1 student enrolled. I enrolled myself in this class earlier today, just for demonstration purposes. So this class has 1 student enrolled, and let's just say I created a new assignment in this class. The last thing I've got to show you is an assignment. So let's see what this would look like, and I can show you what students can do to attach their own work. Okay, we're going to go create assignment, and we're going to call this consumer choice assignment. Okay, We're going to make it unmarked, which is fine. You can put a number to your grading. You can say, you can give a grade and comment afterwards as well. You can say this was outstanding and just base it on feedback. You don't need to use numerical grading. It can be rubric based as well, which I can show in a moment as well. Anyway, so we're going to create a new assignment here. This is regular sort of typed assignments. It could be handwritten assignments. It could be just a piece of classwork that gets submitted. Google Classroom calls them assignments. Okay, so let's pretend that the students actually had to use their exercise books to get this work completed. Write your responses in your books and photo scan them and add them to this assignment. There will be equity issues. I don't know how they're going to handle that if we do shift. But the idea is that pen and paper still has a place with the digital online learning environment. It's not either or, which is a really good feature of Google Classroom. So I'm just going to create a topic for this one. Okay, so we did everything with this. I haven't actually issued any attachment at all. This is an assignment. I said, write your response in your books, and I don't have their books. So they're going to write a response in their books for this particular assignment. And then they're going to get a photo of that work, and they're going to add a photo as an attachment. Okay, so everything's ready to go. It's unmarked. The due date can be Monday again. That's fine. Let's go assign. Okay, while that's assigning, let's go back to the student view. You can see in the student view, what happens is it updates the stream. It tells you that the stream was updated. So let's have a look at what that means for us. Let's go to show. Okay, not that one. We'll go to classwork. In a moment, we should see, with any luck, that this consumer choice assignment has appeared for this student here. There we go. Okay, the consumer choice assignment appears there. And I know it's something that needs to be done because it's in green. When the students complete the work, it goes grey and it's been submitted, or it's been graded, it's grey, but the green one, the one that has colour, means that it still needs to be completed. So the student would click here and they'd read the instructions that says, write your response in the books and scan and add them to the assignment. The way they're going to do that is by clicking on view assignment. And we can see here, we get the same instruction again. We can message the teacher. We can add attachments. So much the same way that a teacher was adding attachments to send to the students can add attachments to send back to the teacher as well. So this doesn't have to be something that's a digital file necessarily. It can start as a written piece of paper, and there's a photograph on the camera roll of a tablet or a smartphone. There are some really good apps that do that as well, and I could probably put that in the video at the end today. The one that I tell my students to use is Office Lens. It's free. It's by Microsoft. There's plenty out there. I think Google has one as well. The point is, anyway, you use those apps, it crops the work nicely, and the students would have that on their phone, and then they could use the Google Classroom app to upload that work to the consumer choice assignment that we see here. So assuming this was the student again doing this, and the student's already taken a photo of their work, what would it look like on the desktop? We could say, we'll find a file on our computer, select a file from our device like we've done before. And this could be some, what do we have here? Maybe this looks like a bit like a photo, 19th of June, it's a JPEG file, upload that. And lastly, the thing that the student does to say, yep, sir, my work is done, or miss, my work is done, that's been attached now. They can click hand in. Okay, one attachment will be submitted. That's great, hand it in. And in a moment, we'll see here that it says unsubmit. The student can actually say, you know what, I'm not quite happy with that. I've still got a few days. I could actually unsubmit that and continue work on it, take a new photo, attach something new. For the moment, we're happy with that. We're going to go back to the teacher view. Okay, this is the teacher view again, just to remind you. This was the work that I issued, the consumer choice assignment. We can see here now that it says one piece of work has been handed in. Okay, so if I click through to the assignment, this has been handed in. There are 0 that have been assigned. Assigned means it's been assigned, but hasn't been done. Still waiting there to be done. So this has been handed in. That's great. I can click on it. This was the attachment that came through. And what we see here is the Google Classroom grading window. Okay, we haven't yet seen this, but what we have is probably document there that I might not be displaying, which is fine. But this is the grading window over here, we can see, and we can add comments in this window. I'm just going to exit out of that one. I'm going to add something else from the student just so I can make sure that there's nothing that is sensitive information there. Okay, so the student said, you know what, not happy with that work. I'm going to add a different file. I'm going to get rid of that one. And I'm going to add a different file here. Okay, so the same process, going through, finding a file on your computer. What can we find here? The assessment booklets. It's going to be something here, I think. Business plan guide. Sounds pretty good. Okay, double click on that. Upload. And the student's happy with that. That looks a lot better. And they can say hand in. Okay, so going back to the teacher window, we can see that this is actually going to live update. You see that just flipped over. As soon as the student presses submit, that actually comes straight through. And now we can see there's a different attachment there as well. Okay, so here is the Google Classroom grading window. Remember, this is a classroom assignment that I created, and the student was able to attach their own file to the assignment. We can see, thanks Google, this is just a generic document, but let's assume this was some student work and it had lots of information there. A couple of things we need to be aware of. This is the grading window. We're clicked on the grading window. We can see the attachment here. We can add a private comment like, this is superb, excellent detail, and the use of the terms and concepts is outstanding. Okay, click post, and that's going to go through to the student. The student could see that straight away. I'm going to go back to the student view just to show you in a moment. This should pop through with any luck. There we go. We can see that just popped through just down there. So the private comment is only seen by the student and the teacher, and that's gone through to the student straight away. I still haven't graded it though. So I'm going to go back to the teacher window, and I could return this to the student, return this submission, or I can click return. And this was an unmarked assignment. So there is no mark to apply. What I'll show you next, because we're running out of time a little bit, is how to add a rubric assignment or a numerically graded assignment as well. Okay, so that's been returned to the student. I'm going to go back to the student window. I'm sorry, there's all this window swapping, but this is the student view, and we can see now this has just been returned. Okay, now it gives the student the option to resubmit it, I suppose. Perhaps as a teacher, you've offered some feedback saying, this is really good, but had you thought about doing this? And if you do this, I might be able to regrade it for you. The student then has the option to change whatever they submitted and then resubmit it again. Okay, so that's the student view. We're going to exit the student view. We're going back to the teacher view once more. Let's go back to the teacher window, back into the economics view, and finally over to this marks view over here. Now that we have a student in this class, we've assigned some work. We're going to close all these tutorials. If I had a row of students down here, the students would be going down the page, and all the different assignments we have would go as the columns, kind of like a spreadsheet in a grade book. We can see here the work that we just graded was an ungraded work, so it just gives it a tick. The tick tells us that the teacher, this is the teacher view, has graded the work, and we see the quiz that was assigned. This particular student got 1 out of 1. So over time, you're going to see more and more columns as you create more and more work. And when the students enroll, you're going to see the row of students there. The other thing we can do is we can log into each of these assignments. We can go, oh, I can't remember actually, did I grade blank quiz? I can't remember why this student only got 1 out of, whatever it might be. So you can click on the assignment and it takes you directly to that assignment. Okay, the other thing you can do is to click on these 3 dots for the student submission and say view the student submission. That takes us straight back to the grading window for Classroom as well. Okay, so that's how students will submit work to you. It's how they can submit work that's not even a digital document, something that they've created on a piece of paper and then taken a photo of and scanned. So it goes some way to addressing the inequity that students might have without access to technology, or if they don't have access to a laptop, if they have a smartphone, their parents have a smartphone, work can be done offline and then submitted online for grading. Okay.
Andrew, there's a couple of questions. Do you want to carry on and then do those at the end, or do you want to?
No, I'll take the questions now. That's okay. Yeah.
So one that's probably relevant to what you're doing right now, can you add comments or highlight things on their submitted work so that they can see where they went wrong?
Yes, you most definitely can. Okay. If I had some handwritten work, I could show you without wanting to show student details and submitted work. I can't really do that probably. With this particular guide, absolutely. If you've got a Google Doc, you've got a Word document, and you've got a PDF, you can select the text and you can say, for example, this business plan guide and the accompanying, that's really very dry. Highlight it. This little comment window appears over here. Add comments. This is a good introduction. Okay, so that's a teacher comment that makes that text go yellow, and the student would be able to see that if they clicked on it, that comment would appear. That's all well and good for Word documents. You'll find that sometimes if you have handwritten scrawls of paper, I'm going to go back. I'm going to try to find another PDF that might work. So bear with me here. I'm going to get rid of this attachment.
While you're doing that, I'll ask you another question.
Sure.
Are you supposed to receive an email notification when a student comments in a class? My classrooms don't seem to notify me when a student has commented, and I'm not sure if that is some setting I haven't ticked.
No, the unfortunate thing, probably about a year ago, comments on the stream don't trigger notifications anymore to email. It's a real letdown. I had a really good community going with my economics class at the end of last year, and probably halfway through the year, I stopped getting email notifications when they posted questions on the stream. So you do get email notifications when they submit work, when they add private comments. They get notifications when you add comments on the stream, but you don't get notifications when they add their own comments. So that's a bit of an unfortunate one. So if students have questions about anything and they're finding a place to ask about it, what I've done for my classes is to create something that sits at the top of the page. I create a question that just says questions, comments, how-tos, and I'll just leave that there as unmarked, and I put it at the top of the page just in a topic called general. The idea with that is that if the students want to get in touch with me and they know that the stream comments won't work, they can have this questions, comments, how-tos, they can get in there and they can type a question to me and it triggers an email for me. So that is one way around that. But it used to be the case that the stream would trigger an email notification always, but it doesn't do it anymore. And it's not something we can toggle on or off, unfortunately.
I guess that also highlights the reality that however it is today, it may not be like that exactly in a month's time.
That's true. That's true. The user interface has changed a lot over the last several years. They keep adding new features as well. So it's something that once you start using it, if you get used to it, most of the improvements have been exactly that, improvements, but the usability is changing and there's different menu items somewhere from time to time. But the core functionality remains the same, which is pretty good with Google Classroom. Okay, I wanted to show just quickly, if I upload a PDF file, I might need to find one in this folder. I think this is a PDF, that's an image. If I could quickly find a PDF, what I can then do is show you how you add comments on PDFs too. So
while you're looking for that, one other question that came through by email. Any strategies for IO or IM who may have low independent work skills, literacy and numeracy skills? So just a comment, I guess, on access for disability.
Okay, so this probably depends on the student as well. I mean, if it's an issue of access with computer literacy skills, Google Classroom may not be perfect, but like I was suggesting before, if there are hard copies of resources, potentially, which can then be submitted with photos or scans to Google Classroom, that's an option. There is an option to differentiate with Google Classroom quite heavily because you can select which students receive what type of work. And again, this is something you'll probably need to have a play around with because for demonstration purposes here, I've only enrolled myself as the one student in the class. When you're issuing work to the students, say for example, if I'm going to create a new assignment here, because I've got only one student here, I could say, no, you know what, this work shouldn't go to Andrew. He's intellectually moderate and he would benefit from having a life skills document or something like that. So when I was going to issue this work, this might be the needs and wants assignment. that shouldn't go to Andrew, that should go to another student. So what I'd do is I'd select all the students that this particular assignment is useful for and is targeted at. And then I'd go ahead and post that one. And then I'd come back in and repeat the process for the students who were extension students, who needed additional support. You might have actually 3 different assignments for the same assignment, if that makes sense, like any differentiated task should be. So Classroom would mean you would deselect the students who shouldn't be receiving that resource.
Nice. One more. Can you invite parents to the classroom?
Yes, you can. There's very little control over what they can and can't see. It's not as though they log in and everything you do is everything they see. And it's not as though everything that is posted to Classroom gets seen by the teachers. Google handles the Guardian summaries, they call them, automatically. You don't see them on this one right now. I think because I'm not actually in a Google Suite account, I don't have the option here. So you may need to be a department employed teacher or a school that uses G Suite, has the G Suite features paid for, so you're part of a Google Classroom suite already. But the Guardian summaries are sort of like regular emails that get sent out by Google, and they package it up into an email that looks sort of like a newsletter, basically. What it does do is it gives an account of the work that's outstanding still and some work that's upcoming. And when you send out that emails, the teacher send out the emails to the parents. The parents will get an email saying, do you want to opt in for these daily, weekly, fortnightly, or monthly? And I think after that, there's very little you can do. It just keeps triggering emails every so often. The other thing I'll caution with that as well, I had the case where I did that with my classes last year. And I taught a bunch of students in Year 10 Commerce. The teacher in technology said, what's all this? The parents are being invited to the Google Classroom. Because he had a Google Classroom running as well, that automatically invited the parents to his class as well. So that student has a guardian, and anyone else who uses Google Classroom, they can see those Google Classrooms too. So it's a bit of an issue for your colleagues maybe, that if you're going to do that, you need to be aware that they'll be opening up access to their other classrooms too. Okay, there was a question a moment ago just about the, what if someone attached the PDF? We can see there's a PDF attached here. How can I give some feedback on this one? I'm going to go to the teacher view because this particular assignment has been submitted. I'm going to resubmit. Okay, going to the classwork tab for the teacher. With any luck, we should see that flip over to being 1, so the consumer choice assignment. With any luck, waiting on the internet here, I'll just check that the students pressed it. Okay, the consumer choice assignment should have, okay, it's got a PDF there, which is great. Remember, if I click on the assignment, it opens up the grading window. This attachment is now a PDF. So let's assume that this was a drawing and I couldn't actually highlight text, even though I can highlight text with PDF and repeat the process. Comments go here. Let's say, for example, this was a drawing. You can also highlight a section like this and say, look at this section of the title page again, something along those lines. Now, when the students see that, they should see a view which resembles what I've just highlighted. So I'm going to show that to you very quickly. Now, when they return this to the student, great work. Back in the student view here, we're going to see in a moment, this should be viewable by the student. You'll need to let your students know there's no view of any comments at all here because this is just a view from Classroom. So to get those comments that I've just put on there, they might need to go these 3 dots, open a new window, and get the Google Drive view of it. You can see the link at the top here says Google Drive. This should give us the comments. We can see the comments that I've just put on are viewable by the student. The student can reply, thanks, sir. And if I went back to the teacher view, we can see that that comment stream can happen in real time between the teacher and the student too. So they're the main ways. I mean, this is I know, a very quick crash course, and I apologise if this has been at a breakneck speed, but hopefully you've taken something out of it. You can see that the main way you're going to run a classroom would be through the classwork tab, the 4 different question types or assignment types or just material. And the way you can organise your topics across the page is just by clicking and dragging. We've shown what communication looks like on the stream by posting certain things, And lastly, we see very briefly what a gradebook page would look like too, because you can see the students and all the different assignments there.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions?
Okay, Andrew, that was amazing. You got through an incredible amount.
Just started to lose the voice too, so apologies.
At high speed at the end of a Friday of teaching. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. As I said, this is going to be available via video through the online course for everybody. I'll send everybody an email once the details are all sorted out, so that then you can, at your leisure, go back and review anything that Andrew's gone through. If after all of this you have any questions, shoot them through and I'll fire them to Andrew. We'll add them to the course as well. Thanks for joining our first online webinar. It would be great to get your thoughts on how it went, whether you found it useful, whether it was the right time in the day, right time of the week, right way of doing it to help us to improve and do better. And thanks mostly to Andrew, and we might wrap it up there. So thanks everybody, and until next time.